Well, hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Gatto, and welcome to P1's coverage of Round 9 of the inaugural season of the Sim Motion ISRA Open Wheel Series. As we come to you tonight from the Magic Mile in the Granite State, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Joining me in the booth tonight, he will get full-time use here later this week when we start our AMA coverage of both the Grand National and their Truck Series on Thursday and Friday nights with Murph. It is Sam Crow. I believe he's working on getting his mic up to speed, and I'll prompt him here to see if he can say something. If not, we'll just wait for him to get in here. But we are currently just done with qualifications. Sammy, you there? All right, so he's still working on things. We're not going to be too worried about that because he will chime in here momentarily. We got to really jump on in to our starting lineups here at the Magic Mile up in Loudon, New Hampshire, about 20 minutes north of, or northeast of Concord, New Hampshire, the capital. Get all this stuff off the screen. There you see the weather conditions. Weather is not going to be an issue. That's mainly the reason why we're showing up there. Let's get on the starting grid here for tonight's 150-lap race. And much like in the Lionheart Speedway days, Michael Goodman back on the pole here. 172.2 right next to him, Clindy. Goodman, the only car in the 172 range. Clindy 171.7. Richie Hearn, who sat on the pole here for real back in 1996 for the Duralube 200 when it was here at, I believe it was the Duralube 200. I could be wrong. No, it was a True Value 200. The True Value 200 back, it would have been race one of the 96-97 Indy Racing League season. He was on the pole for that one here. 171.2, Murph back from the vacation, 171.1. Reagan, Ramsey in row 3. Maul, Wagner, row 4. Hayes and Ray Vaughn in row 5. And we got Rigney and Coker, row 6. Forsyth back from vacation. And Herrick, teammates and team boss, actually, in row 7. Gallas and Mitchum. Irby and Kirby back in 9. Callisto and Armstrong going to do the first run here back in row 10. And that is your starting grid here from the Magic Mile, the paperclip in the forest.
Hello.
And there he is. There is Sam Crow, and we're getting ready to go green flag racing here, Sam. Thanks for joining us. What do you think here before we go green?
I'm excited to be here, Gary. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. That's just where my excitement has taken me. It has made me completely dumbfounded to all the technology, and all I'm ready to do is watch racing. That's all I'm ready to do. So,
150 laps underway here. And it is Goodman piling into one with Clindy, Hearn, and Murph, 3 and 4. Everybody cleanly through that side of the paperclip. Down the backstretch, trying to get into position through 3 and 4 here. Now, 3 and 4, it's a little bit of an elevation change. It doesn't look like it, but we'll show you in some in-car shots. Down the front straight, 1 lap completed. And Goodman, much like how he started the Speedway race here in the Lionheart Series, as your leader.
I think it's one of the biggest things on the start of these races, just to make sure that you try to find the line that you want to run.
There are multiple lines to run through here, and we will see probably at least 3 different lines. And there you see Ray Vaughn ripping the top there, as it seems to me that's the way to go on that end of the racetrack. He's going to get a big run on Dean Darthmall to the inside going into turn 1. And he's going to make it rotate through 1. Right in front of him, he has a hold up. Devin Ramsey. He's going to let a little wheel bang in there if he kept into him. Now side by side with Ball down the backstretch into 3 and 4. This is the big battle on the racetrack. It is Ramsey, Mall, and Ravon, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And coming up behind them in the cool car is Wagner.
The cool car? What qualifies it as a cool car, Gary?
Because it has KOOL on the side. Callisto back in the pack going purple, 168.2. Thing is, I don't ever remember the cool car ever doing well here. So he is digging into the bag of Forsyth Racing tricks here, bringing out this livery.
What drivers actually raced the cool car?
It was most notably, and where it became the most famous, was it almost won the Indy 500 in 2002 when Paul Tracy almost passed Elio Castroneves when that last caution came out. And right in front of him, oh, here we go, 2 wide down the front stretch, along with Lewis Hayes. Along in that race with Tracy was his teammate, a very young Dario Franchitti, because before he became a 3-time Indy 500 winner and 4-time IndyCar champion.
Wasn't, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this where Scott Sharp won his first race?
Yes, he actually the race I was talking about in the pre-race. I think you're still hooking up your stuff. So Richie Hearn, who started 4th here, started on the pole in that '96 race. For the IRL. Getting a little bit of a run there. We're watching Hayes and Forsyth. This is a battle for 10th. And in that particular race, Tony Stewart stormed out to a 2-lap lead. And
it was almost 3, actually.
Yeah, and he was way the heck out in front of everyone. I mean, we have not seen a race dominated like that in a long time. Kirby and Rigney side by side. That's actually Kirby and Herrick side by side for 13th going into 3. Ray Vaughn's reeled in Mall. And Clindy's gotten around Goodman up in the lead and now started to pull away. But you're right, he did have about a 3-lap lead. Caution on the racetrack, Shane Coker. Backwards, coming off of 2. Oof. Inside wall contact, too. Not what he wanted to do. Let's see what happened as he goes down low. Did he clip the apron, or are we at the point in the race where too much weight jack or too low on the racetrack, brings the back end around, almost grabs one of his teammate cars, the other VRL, I think that's Mitchum, and contact with the wall, and that is going to at least bring him to pit road to activate that fast repair.
You're exactly right, though, Gary. I'm still trying to hook up some of my stuff here.
So in that Indy Racing League race here back in '96, Stewart had a huge lead. You're like 3 laps.
Was that actually Indy, or was that still under the CART series?
That was the first race of the '96-'97 Indy Racing League schedule. So that was the year that they wanted to do ideally Tony George wanted, and everybody come to pit road right now. Tony George wanted his series to end at the Indy 500, but the sponsors really didn't like the way that worked out with their funding, because most of the sponsors are on a fiscal year reporting scheme, and not many companies in their reporting for sponsorship funding or whatever in the middle of May or at the end of May. So the '96 season, which was Disney, Phoenix, Indianapolis, just those 3 races, ended at Indianapolis, and it ended with Buzz Calkins and Scott Sharp as the co-champions of the first season of the Indy Racing League. Then they made the decision that, well, we're not going to do Indy anymore, but the next season will run over the course of the remainder of the '96 calendar year and all throughout '97. So the second season of the Indy Racing League went from '96 to the end of the '97 calendar year, which ended at Las Vegas.
Did all that polity play into the fact that they left this particular venue for 13 years? Because they didn't come back till like 2010 or 11 or something.
They did 2 or 3 races here at the IRL, and it wasn't the biggest thing is they just going to get butts in the seats. That was the thing. I mean, the IRL races constantly were victims, with the exception of like Texas, the first 2 Charlotte races, and some other races, and Indianapolis, of course, that they're really finding hard to put butts in the seats. And again, a lot of had the name with the drivers were with CART, but all the stars that go to the Indy 500 were all at the Indy Racing League. So, and eventually, I mean, of course, you know who won the war. Well, I don't think anybody really won that war, especially if you look at the schedule nowadays with the lack of ovals on the schedule. Coming to green flag this time by Clindy, Goodman, Murph, Hearn, and Reagan, your top 5 going green at lap 14. We'll get you who stopped on pit road and updated their fuel tanks on different strategies here. But Tony Stewart, and there we're looking at Dean Mall getting a shot on Rayvon going into 3 on the high side. Tony Stewart had a 3-lap lead here and was looking at possibly, here is Murph and Goodman going into 1. Getting that very first long sought after win for the Menard later, or the early Buick, then Menard engine. And the V6, and it blew up as predicted. And he gave up that
20 laps to go or something.
Right, yeah, it was within sight of the end, and Scott Sharp just was hanging out in 2nd place, and he cautioned on the racetrack. Brian Irby.
Oh, no.
And he's already towed, but we'll see what happened with Brian here. Oh, and he and Coker, so Irby and the Skoll Bandit going into 3. And what happened?
Richie Herm was able to get into the wall coming off 4 as well. So as they were taking the caution, he really slammed those right sides into the turn 4 wall.
Oh, and Irby just low and gets loose, maybe too much weight jacker, and just didn't reset it after the restart, and takes out Coker, who just came the pit road for a fast repair. And I'm going to say probably at this point, Coker's day, unfortunately, might be done.
Right, his night is over. Wow, he really looped the car. All the rear suspension, front suspension.
All tore off, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to repair that.
So I believe Scott Sharp's win was the first win for A.J. Foyt since the 1981 Pocono 500.
Pocono race.
Yeah. That was that long for AJ. Yeah,
I was rooting for Scott Sharp at that time, so I remember that. There's only 2 races that I remember from that era. You know, I'm not as prolifically into the Indy racing as many of the others are, but there were 2 races that stood out to me. One was Scott Sharp's first victory being here, and then if my memory serves me right, Nigel Mansell won at this racetrack as well.
Yes, that was back in '93, and all of his wins, with the exception of 1 that season, were all on ovals. Ironically, he did win the season opener at Gold Coast, and then won later that year at Michigan, Nazareth, and here, and actually was in position to win at Indianapolis in '93, but if you listen to him talk about it, there's a whole bunch of sour grapes there. But frankly, his inexperience in an IndyCar really led to him getting duped by Arie Luyendyk and getting duped by Emerson Fittipaldi.
Right. I don't know. I'm just curious. As later on, it's not me just asking a bunch of questions, but I would like to kind of delve a little deeper myself into how well the F1 drivers were able to make that transition. You know, like Juan Pablo Montoya and others had some, you know, they showed some success, but the percentage of those drivers that would come over into these particular cars. And the reason that interests me is simply because if you're involved like myself, where I'm more involved into more NASCAR type racing, I have raced other venues, sports cars, and I have raced in the IRL here. In these cars as well, but in that transition, just the percentages of how well those people move over into another venue, how much success they may have. It's always fascinating me.
Green flag back in the air. Clindy, Murph, Goodman, Hearn, Reagan, top 5, picking up at lap 21 of 150. the and there's Hearn and Reagan teammates side by side, and they get that situated really quick. And then right behind him is Devin Ramsey, another one of the 4D teammates.
I'm
Racers
interested to see what any damage there was or may be to Richie's. He really pounded the turn 4 wall pretty good with those right side tires.
We'll watch him in this battle as he's kind of got a line of cars queued up behind him now. All of them are fast. With Ramsey, Mall, Forsyth, Rigney, all those guys are going to have a lot of pace. Side by side,
well,
Mall.
He and Chris Regan that are teammates as well. They just let Chris go.
Yep. And Mall has been exploiting people on the high side as he is getting a shot here on Ramsey. Murph goes to the purple lap of 169.2. So to answer your question, I'm guessing my thought is racers are always going to be, if you're a good racer, you're going to be a good racer, whether you're on a road course or an oval. Ramsey side, and he gets into that is sorry, that was Rigney. As the back end of Ramsey's car just came on around. And this was this is too low on the racetrack. So there is a little bit of progressive bank here at this racetrack since
coming off of 4 on that low side.
Yeah, he was on that low banking flat portion.
Of the asphalt as well. So
yeah. And you just watched the back end come around, and unfortunately that caught Wagner and that caught Rigney, and that's going to impact the point situation, which we haven't reviewed yet. We will take a look here as now we are back under caution, and we'll see if Clindy comes to pit road. Let's bring up the point situation real quick. I'll make sure my telestrator is working. There, my telestrator is working.
Rigney will have to tow. If he tows, then he still has a fast repair.
But he'll have to take the tow time penalty, unfortunately.
Correct.
Here are the points coming into today. It is Clindy, a leader by 7 over Rigney. That's, like I said, that was going to shake things up. So Rigney now is going to get filtered down in the order. Goodman is going to be the one to capitalize because he's tied with Rigney coming into this race. So he has already passed Rigney now. He is by himself in second spot. Wagner is in 4th, but not for much longer because right behind him is Kirby by only 8 points. And now Kirby is now in 9th spot on the racetrack by himself, or not by himself, but in a very good position to make up some points here. So the remainder of your top 10 is Hayes in 6th, Hearn in 7th, Gallus in 8th, Reagan in 9th, and Murph in 10th. Remember, Murph was actually leading coming into the last race, but his vacation only cost him 9 spots.
Only 9 spots.
But I do believe like Mario Andretti is kind of the one that's started in IndyCar, went to Formula One, and kind of came back. But he kind of proved that he could do everything, even on dirt. I would say that probably
NASCAR, the Daytona 500 winner.
Yeah, Daytona 500 winner, yeah. And also there were other Formula One drivers that came just to Indianapolis that did it, like Graham Hill and drivers of that ilk. Now, those that kind of came to IndyCar racing as a second win for their career were along the lines of Emerson Fittipaldi. Obviously did very good in IndyCar, although I think the Indy curse is what killed his career. Him drinking orange juice after his second Indy 500 win was probably not the smartest thing to do because really his career was not really the same after he drank the orange juice.
Lactose intolerance hurt his career?
No, I'm just saying that his bid to increase the sales out of his orange orchard in Brazil might have cost him the rest of his IndyCar career. But there are a number of other Formula One drivers that did come over. Raul Boesel was one of those. Eddie Cheever was one of those. Danny Sullivan actually did some time in Indy and Formula One before he came over to IndyCar. Of course, we know he later won the Indy 500 and the national championship. Back underway, Clindy, Murph, Goodman, Reagan, Hearn, your top 5, and they got a little lap traffic in the form of Wags in the middle of that battle right now. But Indy plays, at least when you come to Indianapolis proper, it plays no favorites. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you look at Nelson Piquet, 2-time Formula One champion. crashed horribly hard in the turn 4 wall and broke his feet, where he needed to basically take 2 years off from his career before he could even come back, really. And then, you know, even established and well-groomed modern champions like Fernando Alonso got bumped from the Indy 500 starting lineup. So Indy plays no favorites. Now, in terms of your career, there's a lot of those that came over to Indy, and I kind of got in an argument with a YouTuber there today because he called IndyCar kind of the toddler cup, but because that's where all the F1 drivers kind of come and go for their second career win. And I don't say that this is really their second win in their career. My opinion is
people don't understand how difficult it is to get an F1 ride.
Right. My take is that they get kicked out of these seats unceremoniously. So if they need a place to go continue their career, come to IndyCar. That's fine. I don't consider it you're washed up just because you lose a Formula One ride. Everybody loses their Formula One ride.
Eventually, yeah. And especially with this trend of going with youth, constantly going with youth.
But, I mean, look at Marcus Ericsson. That got him an Indy 500 win, almost 2 Indy 500 wins.
Right, that's very true.
Yeah, it gave Romain Grosjean a little bit of a reprieve in his career.
A revitalization for sure for him, just simply because of how he exited F1 after just the calamity that he suffered in that fiery crash that he had. It was really a revival for his career, actually, to be able to get back into something and be competitive.
But in terms of a worldwide reach, Formula One is a bigger sport than IndyCar. So we do want those guys to come over here. We do want them to bring their fans. We do want them to bring their Insta accounts, their Facebook accounts, their Twitter accounts, and link up and engage virally with the fans over here. Watching this battle here with Lewis Hayes for 8th with Richie Hearn. And so I am all for that, but I do not see this as the big league, the B league to Formula One. And the reason I say that is Daniel Ricciardo is absolutely scared to run the oval in Indianapolis. Like, how can you be a multi-time Formula One Grand Prix champion and be scared of running the oval in Indianapolis? And they act like they're just going to throw him in the car and tell him to go turn some laps and see if he survives. No, they're not. Oh, car sideways, and that is Lionel Callisto. All by himself off of 2.
That's something that you rarely see with Lionel. Lionel is consistent. So consistent.
Let's see if we get a better view. I'm thinking, though, if you get too low on exit, the cars and the banking are not agreeing. And there it goes again, there.
Do you think the car bottoms out at that particular point?
I'm not quite sure what's going on down there with the car. They would certainly feel it.
Yeah, on that transition on the lower line, when you're exiting below that first marker there, and he's already breaking loose before the transition, so it could be a weight jacker issue.
Let's watch. We're going to ride along with him over his shoulder here, the inside of Hugo Gallas. And he's going to turn in. He's on the bottom line. And again, we've seen very similar, at least on the other end of the racetrack. And here comes the back end, right when you I think it's just too low down there and maybe too much weight jacker.
Oh, that below that first marker is actually the most level part of the track.
So everybody came to pit road, just about, except for Reagan. Reagan is going to stay out and play he's going to play the track position game, and Wags stayed out, and he's going to come around and get back on the tail end of the lead lap after getting caught up in that turn 4 incident on the main straightaway. And Wags is, Wags is only 10 laps into his stint, so this is very good for him. He has another full stint that he can really work on making some positions up and seeing about maybe another caution where then he can come back down the pit road. Here he's getting the wave around for the IndyCar wave around room. Richie Hearn coming to pit road just on the top of your screen there. But with the wave around, he's going to be almost on the same schedule as everybody else in front of him, and that is good news and a turn of fortunes for WAG. Big turns of fortunes for WAG. But Chris Reagan now out there for 38 laps, and I would imagine at 38 laps, he's probably just past. Well, we're at 85%. Is it 85% fuel or 75% fuel? We're at 75% fuel. I'm willing to bet Reagan might have another 10 to 15, maybe 15 to 20 in that tank at most. And he's banking on another caution to go deeper and maybe turn this into closer to a 2-stop instead of a 3-stopper. I think that might be the plan he's working on. But he's going to bring us down to green. It's going to be him, Rick Ravon, Say Hey, Lewis Hayes, Forsyth, and Jimmy Herrick into top 5 going in the 1.
It's really a good showing by Lewis. Lewis is always trying to get better. He's such a competitive spirit. He's constantly wanting to get better. I know that he's put the seat time in and the investment to try and get the equipment that he needs to be competitive. He's a retired firefighter, retired veteran, and he's a super guy, and he is ultra competitive. So it's really good to see him running up here and just being as competitive as he is week in and week out. His consistency is his strength.
He's in a livery that's actually won here before, in the form of Nigel Mansell in that particular livery, or close to it. The actual IndyCar track record was set by Andre Ribeiro in '95. With a speed of 177.4. We weren't even close to that number. We were about 5 miles per hour off of that number with these cars for qualifying today. But that was in '95 en route to his first win later that race, and the first win for Honda.
In the series altogether? First win for Honda in the series altogether?
Yep, first career IndyCar win for Honda was here at New Hampshire with Andre Ribeiro. In '95.
What a great fact.
Driving for Steve Horn and Tasman Motorsports.
Oh, a little bit of neck code there for into the fence.
A lot of that. I see a lot of puffs of smoke where doesn't seem to be popping up here. Back up front, it is Reagan, your leader, and that track position is holding off Rick Ravon. But also Rick, savvy driver. He also knows that Chris needs to come to pit road, and if you can't race him harder, race him smarter. If you know the guy in front of you, eventually he's got to pit. But look at Rick ripping the top.
So much for the savvy.
I mean, you go where the clean air is, and that's where not Chris is. He's getting clean air up there, but he's ripping the top.
Well, even with the older tires, the lower fuel load will make the car less troublesome for Chris, and plus he does have clean air on his side as well.
Clean air is like half the battle with these Indy cars.
And I wonder if the word's getting out among the drivers about that transition on the bottom that is just not drivable. I mean, we've seen 3 cautions, and all of them and concerns to drivers that were trying to utilize the lower portion of the racetrack.
Brent's checking in chat. He says maybe too much weight jacker on the lower line. That is entirely possible, especially if you get really, really low in these cars. You need to move that weight back to the other side. Otherwise, it will bring the back around on corner exit. And that's where we've seen a lot of these problems occur, is right on corner exit. In the history of IndyCar coming here, there's never been a repeat winner at Loudon. 8 career IndyCar races here. There have been 8 different winners. Bobby Rahal, Nigel Mansell, Al Unser Jr., Andre Ribeiro.
Jr. I was going to say, I think Al Unser Jr.
Yeah, he did. That was his '94 season where he just tore up everybody after getting his second Indy 500 win. And he wasn't even in the Indy 500 car. He was just that good that season. But Andre Ribeiro, Scott Sharp, Robbie Buell. Robbie Buell won on the weekend. That was a weekend of my wedding. I remember watching that in my parents' house during the after party on that Sunday after the Saturday we got married. Tony Stewart did
the Saturday after you got married, not after
or the Sunday after we got married. Excuse me. Yeah, we were married on a Saturday, but yeah, I remember. I had to find another room because I had to watch my IRL race that weekend. But that was Robbie Buell getting his first career win here, and actually a win for John Menard and redemption for that race they lost a year before with Scott Sharp. And then Tony Stewart came back the next year and did it again and got a win here. In fact, this place has been very good to Tony Stewart. He's won here in both IndyCar and Stock Car.
That's correct.
And back when IndyCar came here for its final time, Ryan Hunter-Reay got the win here, and the infamous double.
Really moved his line down to the bottom. He's really starting to experiment with that lower line.
Yeah, we're watching it right here. But the win that when Ryan Hunter-Reay got here, that was a rain-shortened race, and that was the infamous appearance by the Will Power Australian Double Bird. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about there.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I completely forgot about that.
It doesn't pop out very often. We've seen it one time.
Talking about when you begin to talk about the influential power of something, I thought you were going to start talking about Danica Patrick spinning late in the race.
Well, the double bird came out as a result of Danica Patrick spinning out of that race.
Exactly. I thought you were just going to mention her and say they went back to the previous lap standings.
No, but if you are a famous,
it's our fault.
If you like birds and you are a famous bird side, the famous double power double bird, and here comes Reagan to pit road for a scheduled stop, and he's going to go down a lap. This is a very slow pit road at 45 miles per hour. But the rare power double bird does not make an appearance very often. In fact, the last time we saw it, I believe we saw it at Gateway last season when it made appearance right over the head of Joseph Newgarden. And the second time we saw it after this race is we saw it at Road America when Scott Dixon put Will Power into the wall right after Canada Corner in practice.
I found it interesting that Lewis Hayes was actually starting to close in on Rayvon, but now I'm kind of thinking that now that he has clean air on his nose, what that differential will be. But Lewis is really trying to save his tires, and he is starting to close the gap here on him.
Let's ride along with Lewis, and let's hear the throttle input of how he's doing. In the fifth gear, coming into turn 3. Look at the downhill a little bit there. There is a little bit of elevation change in turn 3. The track's always been like that. Let's listen as he goes into 1, how he rolls out of the throttle here. And he's rolling in, letting the car rotate itself.
I noticed that he's actually half a lane up too from where most of the people are running in their lane.
Now
Rayvon is working the whole track. Right. There's no portion of the track that he's not working. He is getting every bit of the mileage out of New Hampshire that he can get, and so I noticed that Lewis is just consistently hitting his marks in the same line. But Rayvon is up, he's down, he's cutting off his apex, he's working everywhere.
He's still within that draft window, so the draft envelope for these cars extends about a second and a half. He is 1.1 up to Rayvon, so that means he is getting 8 of the draft down these straightaways, but he's getting the not so much aid of the aero wash in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
In my experience here has always been, and I'm by far not very proficient with these cars. I enjoy racing them. I'm not proficient with them. But I would always find, and especially at this particular track, because I've raced the DW12 here, I've raced the Retro here as well, is that there's that dead zone between 8/10 and 1 second that absolutely, it's hard to break that barrier unless you can just find a conventional line that works for cleaner air across the wings. It's just really strange how it deadens out. in that fate.
I think you might have been right a little bit about damage on Richie Hearn's car. He has gone back to 12th, and now he's in a battle with Wags, who got back on the tail end of the lead lap, and Wags is going to get the position. But I think you might be right. There might be some damage on Hearn's car, and he did execute the fast repair. He might have additional damage. Now, we have seen in the past sometimes where drivers come to pit road and get the fast repair. It doesn't fix everything necessarily. It's supposed to, but it doesn't. And maybe we're looking at a little bit of that situation.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation.
Oh, car sideways, and it's Clindy. Clindy off of 4.
Oh, now this is definitely going to affect some things.
And he is down low again. This is right on that bottom line where we've seen so many people, and then he gets loose, and he catches it, but he goes into the attenuator, and that's a hard hit. And that's if he gets that car spun around and into its pit stall so he can at least use the fast repair without a tow, that is going to be really painfully slow, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do that.
He has engine damage, rear suspension damage. That's exactly the same place that Brian Irby had his trouble.
And Rayvon came to pit road for a scheduled stop. So Rick went 48 laps into that run. So Hayes currently on 49 laps on his run, and he is due on pit road any time now. But Lewis Hayes, your leader by 3 seconds over returning Craig Forsyth. There's Craig. And a returning Murph, who's now in 3rd.
I would love to be one of the buttons on Lewis Hayes' steering wheel right now as he's leading this thing. I am sure that he is elated to be up front.
That's that radio button. He's saying, hey, guys, check this out. Look who's your leader.
Exactly.
Look who's your leader.
Exactly. Lewis has got a long history in stock cars. He and I've been we've raced each other for a number of years and become good friends. But I'm sure he's very excited.
Well, he told me that he was inspired by listening to us talk about the IndyCar so much last year. That in May, he actually took part of one of the fixed Indy 500s and brought his car home 4th. So that is no small feat when you could run a complete fixed official Indy 500 and come home in a top 5 position for basically your first race.
He was incredibly proud of that finish, and it actually did kind of fuel his desire to want to be involved in the ISRA and help with the league here and just be a part of what Mike Rigney's trying to build. And Mike's had some great success here with the people that he's pulling in and what they're doing and the races and the performances that are being put on. The quality of talent here is very, very good. And so Lewis he kind of got the bug. I myself had other commitments in the off season, so I was unable to run this particular series. But I am excited to be a part of what you guys are doing here at the ISRA, and of course P1 Broadcasting. And we're going to be running the AMA races this coming week on Thursday night and Friday night, and we're excited about that as well. But
and there is Lewis Hayes coming off of pit road. Sorry about that. He made his scheduled stop. Okay. So he went 54. That's pretty good. So if he's on schedule for one more stop.
There is. That'll put him right at 100-mile mark as he comes back in.
Yeah, I'll put him at 129, and then he'll have a 3 wide down the backstretch. We got Goodman to the inside. Over Hayes. Hayes trying to bring that car up the speed. Here's Kirby down low with Mull. Kirby disappears. Lewis Hayes disappears. He comes back. But yeah, one more stop, so he is in a really good position.
Oh, so close.
Here's
they're jockeying for position here.
Caution, yellow flag. Rigney? It's Rigney. By himself. Down into turns, it looks like turns 3 and 4, he just brings it around by himself.
Rickney was a little disappointed in his qualifying effort here tonight.
So this is a very difficult corner. We had over on we're on P1, but on P1 on Tuesday nights we cover the IndyCar, the iRacing official IndyCar Oval Series top split on Tuesday nights. And a season or so ago, we came to New Hampshire before they came in with the new sculpt or the new scan. And there a lot of drivers, not just rookie drivers, but we're talking top split 3K, 4K, 5K level drivers having issues with the entry in the turns 3 and 4. So there's something about turns 3 and 4 that don't necessarily agree with these Indy cars. And I know part of it is it is going downhill a little bit. You don't see it very much, but when you do drive these cars, you do begin to see that it does the grade of the way the turn is provisioned does go downhill just a tad. And I think that helps the car rotate sometimes, and it gets people into thinking, oh, my car is now really rotating well. I'm going to go a little bit lower, and that's where the back end comes around.
I noticed that certain drivers like Rayvon, he may be a little privy to that particular bit of information simply because when we were watching all the lines that he was running, there was a lot of high entry into 3 and low exit off of 4. He was just kind of cutting the apex off a little bit, and so it could very well be that he already has that in mind, that transition is a little bit dangerous, and so that's why he's running that unconventional line.
And he is a student of the game. He is a big connoisseur of IndyCar history, just as much as I am, probably better. And if I had to guess, he probably went back and watched the 92, 93, 94 kart races in the lead up to this, so he could get himself in that right frame of mind. But I would not doubt at all that Rick put in that level. We call it, when film prep, or when the football players go watch the game film and everything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's Rick right there doing game film, but watching old ABC kart races with Paul Page and Uncle Bobby up in the booth.
I will. I know that I go back every week and try to watch all of these broadcasts if I can't tune in the night of. So I will go back and watch the broadcast on the P1 website on YouTube. And watching Rayvon, one of the things that impresses me about him is just simply his vision. He seems to have a very good tentative discernment about his vision of where he wants to take the car, especially in traffic. And that's not an easy talent to acquire. That's not something that comes naturally to a lot of people.
But we're in contact on the backstretch, and Clindy's in it again. And we got one of the VRL cars. Mason Mitchum is involved in this one as well. Oh, just a little bit of net code. And it happened right in front of, how the heck did Hey Lewis Hayes miss that? So we're watching Mason Mitchum coming off of turn 2.
I noticed about 15 laps before that he actually caught the turn 2 wall excessively hard, and then he caught it again a little bit later.
And to coin the phrase that LGN has created and that we're going to continue to use here on future broadcasts is iRacing has forgiven Lewis Hayes because it took the wing away and gave it back. So the damage on Hayes' car might only be graphical and actually no actual damage to that car because it gave him the wing back. Otherwise, that would have cost him a 5-second penalty and maybe additional damage underneath that car. But how he missed that, I don't know.
Well, you can clearly see in the replay that you've just shown us. You can clearly see that right wing completely disappears, but when he clears the accident, it reappears.
And so, as Lewis says, iRacing forgave him. But watching from his point of view and watch as this closing rate, everything. Oh, and it was a little bit of contact from Hayes into Mitchum's left rear, at probably the lightest point the car is, right there at corner exit. And I'm sure he didn't want that, but we're back under caution. And you're right about Rick.
Oh,
Rick has
wow.
been doing these cars for a very, very long time. We had some pit stops occur. Rick has jumped out, and actually he stayed out. And Forsyth, I think, came to pit road. I'm not sure here. We'll double check here. But yeah, Rick has been is an old gun at these cars. He has been sim racing since the mid '90s. That's when I first met him. We were racing IndyCar Racing 2 together. And what they were at the time, offline leagues. You would run your race, and then you would submit your results, and you would see how your race results stacked up against other people in your league, and that's how they would rank you. And he was always very fast then, and when I came to iRacing and discovered that he was here, he's continued to be fast here. Rick has never been lacking pace, and he is always, from the day that I known him, back in 1996, 97, when I was racing, IndyCar Racing 2 on DOS, he has always been in this early 80s, 81, 82 Rick Mears livery.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, it's clear that he has that that veteran instinct. That would probably be the best way to describe it. If he has that kind of vision, it would take a veteran like that, simply because.
Oh, and Jim Herrick spinning out on the front stretch, and that took out, I think. Well, Hayes was in it, but I don't know how much damage he got. And this is wheel spin. This is possibly cold time. No, this is going to be. He's been out for 13 laps on these tires, so this is just wheel spin. We'll look at track temperature here, but we'll watch as he comes up. Oh no!
And that's heavy contact.
That is not what I thought it was. How does Hayes misses it again? So what happened is Reagan was coming up to speed, and he timed it wrong on Callisto, and had look at this.
And Herrick had
to take evasive action.
And then just lost the back of the car. Lewis, of course, he spins, but there's no contact other than a slight touch on the.
Let's go back to Lewis Hayes as this all happens in front of him. This is one of the most dangerous times in an IndyCar is during a restart. And watch that, and watch all this happens. So, oh wow! And Stretch Armstrong got through on that one too. A little bit of a tap of the wall. He might be okay. Good thing we don't have any tire limits here.
We were actually the according effect was actually happening well up ahead of even Reagan.
Yeah.
They were actually touching each other ahead of them.
We're watching Hayes come to pit road. So your leader is Rick Ravon. Craig Forsyth second. Murph is in third. Goodman fourth. Dean Mall has kept his head about him. He finished on the podium last week at Motegi, and he is in the top 5 here. Kirby up 12 spots to 6. Gallus up 8 to 7th. Wags has reached where he started, so he has come back up through the field. Richie Hearn is recovered back to 9th. Reagan now in 10th. It should be mentioned, Forsyth up 11 spots. So we have had quite the conversation of IndyCar history and all these drivers on the racetrack. But once again, if you're just joining us, this is P1's coverage of the Sim Motion ISRA Open Wheel Series coming to you from New Hampshire, where we've completed 87 of 150 laps. You're enjoying P1's coverage of tonight's race. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for future iRacing content, including tomorrow night will be the IndyCar Oval Series, and we will be at Pocono for one of our crown jewel events. So tomorrow night, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time at Pocono. Then later this week, doubleheader Wednesday, and then you'll get to see Mark Murphy, the guy in third, and the guy with me in the booth, Sam Crow, as they call action starting at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday evening for round 1. Week 1 of the AMA Xfinity Series, their Grand National Series at Daytona, with a follow-up race with the Truck Series on Friday at the same place. Here we go, green flag on lap 88. Here we go again. Kirby Mall side by side down the backstretch. Kirby's going to have an inside shot, but I think really at this point the high line is the OP line at the moment. Here comes Kirby, though. He gets the spot. Mall back to 6, move Kirby up to 5th. Now Kirby going after Goodman. Goodman led 48 laps here in the Lionheart Speedway Series race back in part of Season 2. Started on the pole, but unfortunately was taken out a little bit early of that race, so he has some redemption on mind here with the Magic Mile in New Hampshire. Side by side, a battle for second between two guys that have been on vacation, Forsyth and Murphy. We know one was actually on a boat. I don't know where Forsyth went. Still side by side off the corner. Ravon is just loving this. He's just going to pull away. Whoa. And
Murphy is actually one of the few that's able to make this line work so far. He's one of the few that's actually.
He is. It makes me wonder if he's working that weight jacker to the middle portion of the corner and then working it backwards as he comes off the corner. So he might have himself a very
right here is probably as low as anyone's been working the lane trying to make a pass. So.
I think he's working the buttons very diligently in that cockpit right now.
Forsyth's not going to give up that spot very easily.
Oh, heck no. No.
No, not this particular portion of the race. I've raced with Forsyth before, and he's a clean and hard charging racer, so he's going to work at a little bit of contact with the wall there in 4.
Still side by side as they battle for second. Ravon pulls away by a second and a half, which is good news for him. That will want him. He'll want to pull away from that draft envelope. Allow these two not to be able to reel him back in. This time in the 3. Murph down low, getting quite the caution again on the racetrack. And it is Clindy. He's just having one of those days.
This is just not his night.
And he is nursing probably an ill-handling car at this point, just trying to make some laps and to get some critical points in the championship. Never give up, never surrender. But Leary comes around on the exit of the corner and right on into the turn 4, actually more of this main straight pit retaining wall there. And we are back under caution. Now, that allowed actually Murph to get the position over Forsyth.
Yes, yeah. He had just got past Forsyth whenever all that was occurring. That was a strange place for Clindy to lose it, though. He was really up in the
Interesting.
Line that everyone's using.
Interesting. Rick stays out. Murph, Forsyth come in. This is. We are close to final stops. Very close to final stops.
Correct. Is there a fuel trim in these cars?
Yes.
I forget.
Yes.
That's what I
so
thought.
on even on fixed setup races, you do have access to the engine mapping, which is 1 through 8. 1 is full rich, 2 is the next notch down, then it goes to 5. 5 is as lean as you can get under race conditions. Now, currently right now under caution, they are in engine map, or they should be in engine map 8, which is the lowest fuel consumption that you can actually dial into these cars. You do not want to be on engine map 8 during restarts, and you do not want to be in engine map 8 during the race unless you are critical on fuel.
Doesn't the computer system actually puts them at 8 when they go into the rev limiter for pit road speed?
I don't see it change. I don't remember it changing on the board, but I do know that the rev limiter will just limit out at. It's not the rev limiter. It's the speed limiter. So I have to look more into that. That's a good question, but I don't. To my knowledge, I don't think it takes them down to 8 when they're going on pit road, because in most cases, there are, especially under caution, they should already be in 8 when they're going to pit road. And you probably don't want to go to 8 while under green flag conditions. So when you hit the button then as well. So I'll have to look more into that. But Rick's going to stay out, and he is going to have a host of drivers that stayed out with him, and a bunch of people that are going to have to be dispatched quickly by Murphy and Forsythe that they hope to get back up to Rick. Lights out on the pace car. It's going to be Rick Ray Vaughn, your leader.
Has another stop to make, though.
Yes, I believe he does. He has been out for 30 laps.
Yeah. So within the next 25 laps, he should be coming in.
Green flag. He's been doing slow restarts, but it seems to be working for him. Maul now second. Gallus third. Richie Hearn with the ill-handling car, we believe. He has now worked his way up to fourth. Lewis Hayes, who has dodged everything but a wrench and a ball on this racetrack, he is now in fifth. And now the first of the drivers that have pitted on pit road, this time by, we think, these drivers might be done to go to the end. Murphy, Forsythe, Kirby, Goodman, Wagner, Callisto, Reagan, Armstrong, Mitchum, they might all be good to go to the end, but they do not want to see any more cautions. Maybe they do. I don't know. We don't know how close they are.
Hoping that there is another caution.
And Rick, in the meantime, probably would enjoy a caution. Here's Richie Hearn around Hugo Gallows. We're going to be moving Richie Hearn up to third, possibly, as Hugo Gallows is going to rip the top. But the bottom side just fast enough, allowing Richie on by. Move Richie now to third. Hugo back to fourth. I think we got a shout-out for Hugo Gallows in chat. Hugo Gallows driving for Altina Autosport in the VOR series. And I am very sad to say that in my my last Speedway Series race here, I put Hugo into the wall. In the Speedway Series on Lionheart, I got to the inside of him in 1 and 2, and he was making a late entry arc and then arc into the corner, where I was kind of going a little bit low and then arcing out into the so kind of doing a diamond, and he just cut right across my nose, and that was contact, and I got the old EOL for the next race. I knew it was going to be difficult to pass him, but the way that he was entering that corner then. But yeah, I put old Hugo into the wall here in the Lionheart Speedway Series. I finished. Go ahead.
With Richie, I was going to say, I think with Richie in particular, we were talking about earlier that he may have gotten some damage. He could have very well went in and just got, if there were any repairs to be made, it could have been within a small pit limit, and then he may have gotten it fixed with his quick repair later here in the event.
We have seen in previous fixed IndyCar Oval races before, where drivers have made contact with the wall and then all of a sudden the car becomes faster.
I have heard that. But I will tell you
that is a very plausible possibility.
There was a time in NASCAR, in 2K3 and in early years, even all the way up into the late 2017, 2018, at Bristol, where the cars, you could run the cars at the high line at Bristol, and you could scrape the walls in 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and actually increase the speed of the car.
Maybe it's possible. Maybe he's sacrificing.
Of course, that's been eliminated now.
Well, maybe Richie's sacrificing straightaway speed to actually, kind of make it through the corners a little bit better, faster than everyone else. I mean,
I noticed these last few laps, he's still flirting with that. He must have some kind of love affair with that turn 4 wall, because he's still flirting with it.
He's turning 22 ones while the drivers in front of him are turning 22 flats. So he's a little off the pace. But Gallas behind him is not turning any laps faster. Now Hayes is reeling him in. He's about a 10th faster.
Of course, we're still waiting for Murph. I'm surprised that they went in for fresh tires and fuel, and they're already dropped back a second and a half already from the top.
Well, so they know that those in front of them have to come to pit road more than likely. Rick's 42 laps.
With 55 laps to go, then that's really going to put them close to the window anyway. So fuel conservation would have to come into play.
We got Rick at 42 laps, Dean Darth Ball at 31 laps, Richie Hearn at 31 laps, Hugo Gallas at 31 laps. Lewis Hayes at 24. He's going to come up short. But Murph at 14. And I do want to shout out the guys at Sim Motion here real quick and thank them for their continued patronage of the league. We're watching Murph try to get around Devin Ramsey. This is just a battle for track position, but Sim Motion is a proud sponsor of the ISRA. With over 50 combined years of experience in the community and industry, Sim Motion is your one-stop strategy for everything you need for sim racing, whether you still have your rookie stripes or you're a grizzled veteran like Sam Crow here looking for the next upgrade. So check out their line of sim racing hardware, including top brands like Azatec, Buttkicker, Moza, Sim Magic, and more. You can visit their online store today or follow them on one of their socials. All the links you need are in the description. Back to the action on hand, lap 112 of 150. What are you thinking so far, Sam?
Well, to digress back to your spot just a moment ago with Sim Motion, I will tell you that this year, I have just set up my Sim Motion rig, my very first Sim Motion rig, and I'm very excited about using it this year. And so far, I'm a big guy as it is. I'm very tall, and so I'm incredibly surprised how comfortable I am in this rig, and I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to be able to use it. So Sim Motion, thank you for the quality product that you put out, and so I'm excited about that. But now as far as racing goes, we're going to see a lot of fuel mileage things come into play here if another caution doesn't come out, of course. But with the top 5 pulling away from those that took that last pit stop, it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to layer this thing out for the closing laps if we go green.
Well, Murph stayed in the draft of Devin Ramsey for quite a while, and now he has passed him, so it's possible he saved some fuel back there. Now he can set sail to Lewis Hayes, who is right in front of him. Your leader is still Rick Ravon. He has moved out to 1.8 second lead over Dean Darth Maul. There's Darth Maul down the backstretch. He finished on the podium last week at Motegi for his first podium win since actually getting a win in the, I believe it was the Truck Series, Season 1 of the Truck Series. Right behind him is Richie Hearn. And he has had a couple podiums here in the ISRA. Not the long sought-after win yet. He's a pro. He will eventually get the winner circle here. No doubt about it. Hugo Gallas started off the season with a podium there at Homestead. Everyone was very happy for him. He's currently in third now as Rick Ravon comes to pit road for his final stop.
Absolutely. Richie Hearn, of course, he's decided that the turn 4 wall is not enough. Now he's trying to work with the turn 2 wall.
That's when I say they need to find sponsorship of a demolition company because he wants to destroy that wall.
He has. It has been an absolute privilege to be able to race side by side with Richie. He was so gracious and kind when he was racing in the Xfinity and the Truck Series with us, and I had the privilege of racing next to him, and I'm telling you, he's a class act. He really is a class act.
It is not often that you get to say that you raced someone that finished third place in the Indy 500 for real here on iRacing. You don't get to say that very often.
He's quite the gentleman too about things, and so no, believe me, I have definitely pulled the name card out before. Oh yeah, I've raced Richie Hearn. I've fanboyed a little bit there.
Well, while we got a moment here before, go ahead.
It's just kind of got in that little dead zone behind Lewis Hayes.
Actually, Murph kind of got back in line behind Ramsey. I think he let Ramsey on by a little bit, so Murph going to get the draft. I think he might be very, very close. Let's get a word in before we get to final pit stops and the last stint of this race. A word in on side-by-side for Sim Motion and one of their products, and we'll be right back for the continuation and the final laps here of the 150 lapper here at New Hampshire for the ISRA Open Wheel Series. We'll be right back.
With years of experience and a passion for customer service, SimMotion is a trusted name for SimMagic products. Whether you're just getting started or a seasoned pro, we have the gear to get you on the podium. At SimMotion, we don't just sell gear, we fuel your passion for sim racing.
And we are back here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, ISRA, and their SimMotion Open Wheel Series. In the closing stages, 26 to go here at the Magic Mile in the Granite State. Now, I have family that that actually still lives here. I actually have an aunt and uncle that live in Concord, or as they say, Concord, there. Concord. And they are about 20 minutes from the track.
It's funny, Charlotte Motor Speedway, we Southerners, Charlotte Motor Speedway is in Concord. Concord, yeah. Yeah. It's not Concord.
Well, there's a whole bunch of cities in that neck of the woods that has different spelling, different sounding names, and they're complete than how they spelled. So there's a city in Massachusetts, and it's spelled Peabody. But when you talk to them, it's Peabody. Now, how they get biddy out of body, I have no clue. But it's Peabody. So, and then there's the town of where actually the Red Sox farm team plays, Worcester, where it says Worcester. Now, I say Worcester because that's how it is spelled, and that's how it sounds to anybody else in the world. But you're from there, it's Worcester. Now, how they get Worcester from Worcester, I have no clue. But just all sorts of weird sounding towns, but that's where half my blood's from, so for some reason I'm immune to it right now. I don't know. But your leader is Richie Hearn with 22 to go. Last time Richie Hearn stopped 51 laps ago. He's gonna have to come to pit road. Hugo Gallis in the same boat. Lewis Hayes, he's 44
Lewis will be
laps.
the one that can, I was going to say Lewis is probably the one that's going to play this out as far as he can play it out, and he'll be able to play it out a little bit further than Richie and Hugo in order to try and hope for a caution. But even if he gets a caution, I think everyone behind him at this particular point is going to be able to make it on fuel. It's going to be close. It really is going to be close.
And Justin Kirby got around Forsyth, moved Kirby up to fifth. And I think if Kirby pitted on the same lap that Mark, if Kirby could get to Mark and pass Mark, that would be for fourth, that might be for the win.
It could very well be, especially with the top three are going to have to pit. Kirby's is still that 1 second right behind.
Yeah, Brent's saying it's going to be a fuel mileage race, and I think it is. If we go caution-free, it is going to be a fuel mileage race.
I was looking back in chat, and I was seeing where Clindy was at. He was talking about his oopsie.
He had one of those, and there's Hugo Gallis. So, Hugo Gallis has had to throw in the towel, but a good run for Hugo, bringing his car down pit road. Final stop. He should probably just get a splash and go. I don't know if he'll throw on new tires, although really the tire penalty's not going to hurt him too much here. 5 seconds is really all it takes to change tires on these Indy cars. Back up front, we're going to see Richie Hearn coming to pit road for his final stop here a lap later. So he's going to come up just a little short. How far can Lewis Hayes go? Can he go further? And in direct contact with Murphy. This would be if Hayes cannot make it for the race lead. Kirby is there.
Kirby has closed the gap so much.
And Rick is now down a lap. So he is back in 12th. Ramsey is 11th. Rick really needs a caution here.
Wags has been able to increase his position since his starting position. He's really been up and down the leaderboard all night long.
He is now up to 5th. But basically, it says he's up at 3 spots, but he's passed way more than that on the racetrack. Goodman to the inside of
agree.
Callisto for position. Callisto just lets him go. Callisto might be trying to make it on what he has left in the tank, and he's doing a little clutching and coasting. That was too easy of a pass. Hayes, pit road. Oh, okay. So that's going to throw the fuel strategy out right when I figured it would be about 14 to go. Yeah. Yeah. And so the final stop, same thing with Jim Herrick.
Earlier, yeah, it was 10. You said it was about 10 different laps difference between Hayes and those other two cars.
So there is your leader. Now, we see a battle for position, for track position behind him. That's Rick. Now, Rick wants to get around Kirby, which he has. There goes Devin Ramsey, the pit road. And now Rick wants to get to Murph and get around and get back on the lead and then hope for an immediate caution. What Kirby wants is Murph to get up there and start, or excuse me, Rayvon to get up there with Murph and then have Murph start racing Rayvon a little bit more than he needs to.
Give him some dirty air.
Yeah, but I think both of these drivers are cerebral enough, and there's Murph to the inside of Jimmy Herrick. I think Murph is cerebral enough. Sorry, there was almost contact between Kirby and Rayvon there that he probably would just let him go and try to not lose any more ground to Kirby. That's my thought, but we'll see. 10 to go.
You know, Murphy has to be watching the relative to see that Kirby's going to be able to close that gap. He has to be watching that. He's going to relinquish some of the fuel saving in order to make sure that you're keeping that gap where you're comfortable and not allowing him to get in within that window where he might be able to utilize it.
Well, and if he's in that window, that he can absolutely 100% flash the dirty air at him if he wants to. And that's exactly what he's doing right there through that corner.
He's mirror driving.
So, yeah, doing a little bit, but now we've got direct contact. This is direct contact for the lead. Murph and Kirby. Forsyth is going to reel these guys in if they really start the battle. But here we go. 8 to go, and this is yet to be decided. Murphy won at Pocono, an auto club earlier this season. Looking to win again one more time. Kirby looking to break through for the IndyCar win ranks. Rayvon stays high. Murph down low, giving the dirty air to Kirby.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely trying to make sure that he gets every bit of it.
Looking out the back of Murphy's car, looking at the nose of Kirby's Dallara as he makes a run down the front straight. Now 6 to go at the line.
Murphy is one of those drivers that can make all those lines work just as much as Kirby can. So these are qualified and well experienced drivers to do this.
I don't know how many IndyCar starts Justin has. I know he's learned these cars very well. But, I mean, between Forsyth and Murph, there's probably easily 200, 300 starts per in these cars on this service.
That one yet. No,
yeah, so Kirby's at a little bit of a disadvantage here because he's kind of he's the rookie in an extreme veteran sandwich right now.
Let me go back to our earlier conversation at the beginning of the race when we were talking about the and this is why I asked, was we were talking about the transition between F1 and then coming to Indy League. Justin is a perfect example of what you're saying, that racers are going to be racers. I've raced with the Kirby brothers, spent probably 20-something years ago. They are both quality racers. They learn very quickly. And they're not afraid to up their game, so to speak, whenever they're trying to learn new things. They've been around a long time, and they know exactly how to race. So to go back to what you were saying for the F1 drivers, this is a perfect example of a stock car racer who gets in another car, and he's a racer, and he understands what he needs to do to get to the front.
2 to go. 2 more laps around the Magic Mile. Lionel Callisto trying to save fuel, staying out of the way of everyone. Ravon's still there. Murph's still in the and we got Forsyth diving to the inside. That little bit of hesitation there by Kirby might have cost him some momentum. White flag this time by for Murph, looking for win number 3 of the season, and he has less now than a half a lap to go. And I think Murph is going to do it. He is clear through 3, clear through 4, and to the inside of Rick Ravon. He's going to come off of 4 and become another winner this season, or another win this season for Mark Murphy, fresh off the boat down in the Caribbean.
So that's what extra sunshine vitamin D can do for you.
And Murphy actually, during the course of that race, had the purple lap, so he had the pace the entire time. But Murph, winner at Pocono, winner at Auto Club this season, gets his 3rd win here at the Magic Mile.
New Hampshire didn't disappoint. It always brings a little bit of excitement in a lot of areas, whether it's cautions or racing or fuel mileage, because there's been many races at this racetrack that have been determined by fuel mileage.
And there you see Mark with the win by a 2nd and a 3rd over Forsyth, who edged Kirby out. We should I don't know if we need to go back and watch that, see what happened there. We could probably talk about it in the interview. I'm wondering if Kirby maybe ran out of fuel. We'll see. We'll find out about the interview. But Kirby gets the bottom step, which is a heck of a drive for him. Up 15 spots. Forsyth up 11 just to come home 2nd. Goodman, starting from the pole, comes home a very quiet 4th. We did not talk much about Goodman, unfortunately. But the man knows how to get around here. Chris Reagan, another top 5 for him. He comes home 5th. Mason Mitchum, he had an adventuresome day.
Mason, after his night tonight, what a great finish.
He comes home 6th. Rick in 7th. Wags, I would say that's a good finish for Wags.
Where he started?
Probably not exactly where he wanted to finish, but I think all things considered, he passed a whole lot of cars. Richie Hearn comes home 9th. Hugo Gallas, another top 10 for Hugo. Hugo seems to be racking up these top 10s. He comes home in 10th. And we got Callisto at 11th, who nursed that car home. Dean Mall in 12th. Hayes 13th. Armstrong 14th. Devin Ramsey, 15th. Herrick 16th. Clindy with a day he wants to forget, 17th. Rigney 18th. Coker, a day he wants to forget. He spins out, uses the fast repair, and then gets smacks a lap after using the fast repair. Sometimes it doesn't pay to drive the green car, does it, Shane? Sorry, Shane. I'm not laughing at you. We're laughing with you. And Brian Irby there in 20th. Let's bring back the first page there. There we go. And let's get some replays queued up.
Rigney said something about on his caution where he self-spun about a little red mist and trying to pit don't make a good combo. I'm not sure.
Who said that?
Rigney. Mike Rigney said a little red mist and trying to pit doesn't make a good combination.
It requires a fine touch coming to pit road sometimes, and if you're not happy, you can throw that off, or you miss that button, whatever. Yeah, that just gets you going here. Well, we got the drone cam here on a replay here for Justin Kirby. We'll get him up into the booth here. Before we do, real quick, let's this. There is the remaining schedule for the season right here. We'll bring it up on the screen. We're at Michigan next, which ought to be a barn burner. Then we go to Iowa for our last short track of the season. Then we're going to finish up on 2 intermediates, and then we go to Indianapolis to crown a champion. That is our remaining schedule here after New Hampshire. Only 4 more rounds after this, 5 more rounds. Michigan, Iowa, Charlotte, Chicagoland, Indianapolis. Don't go anywhere. Those are the next 5 consecutive weeks. So we're going to crown a champion here inside of 6 weeks. We'll see if the points are updated here momentarily as well. But let's get into the interview room, and I do not see Justin. There he is. He's on a lower room. We'll bring him on up. I got him. There he is. Justin Kirby, congratulations, P3. But when you took that white flag, you were running P2. We missed it because we were watching the leader take the checkered flag. What happened? Was it out of fuel, or did Forsyth legit get you, run you down there? Maybe you had to lift there with that lap traffic in the way?
No, I ran a little too hard. It hiccuped coming out of 4, and I wasn't expecting it because I still had 0.05 when it did it, so I wasn't able to give Forsyth a heads up on it, so that was my bad because I was going to pull down, knew it was going to be close, but didn't want to tell him that too early, and then
right, exactly.
So, it was just a bad deal, and I thought I saved up enough, and I just, once it got to about 4 or 5 to go, it's like, oh great, I'm still 2/10 short.
Oh no, that must be a really sinking feeling, especially when you're kind of gaining there on Murph at one point, which would have been a pass for the lead. Was there any chance for you to actually get him, or just it was too busy saving fuel, and maybe second best thing is to just try to come home second best?
It was, we were being patiently aggressive with the fuel. It's like he was the only reason I caught him was because he was backing off a lot and banking gas so that he had a little bit more at the end, and I was just trying to run my normal pace, and that's what Greg did early on, and he almost got both of us. So
Sam, you got any questions for Justin here, finishing on the bottom step of the boat? This is you haven't got the dub this season, Justin, but you're racking up these podium finishes. Got to feel somewhat good there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a little frustrating not getting there, but as long as I'm knocking on the door, I can't really complain. I'm just a little bit here and there, just keep playing the cards right, because I mean, one thing about racing, it's not when you're fast, or it's not if you're fast, it's when you're fast. And that's just what I'm trying to do. Just be at right place, right time, and hasn't quite hit yet.
Go ahead, Sam.
I was just kind of curious, Justin. It's good to see you, man.
See you too, man.
Just certainly, you and I have had a long history of racing together, simply in the stock car rank, the short track series. We've had our fair share of great races, but the transition into these open wheel cars, and how do you feel with this season, running with the quality of drivers that are in this particular league? How do you feel that the transition's been for you in the learning curve?
It's been rather steep because this is the first real series where the aero wash is a massive part of the game, or as far as like the racing game. Don't want to call the sim a game, might upset some people. But anyway,
how dare you?
Yes, how dare you?
What? This interview's over. It's over.
Oh crap! All right, have a good weekend, guys. But I mean, it's with the aero wash and trying to make sure you got the right spot. I mean, I would love to have a restart where I'm in like the top 1 or 2, and I just haven't quite got there yet. I kind of put myself in a bind today because I messed up like a qualifying lap. So I thought I had a shot at the pole today, but then, things happen, and just making sure I could get just keeping the nose on the car, keeping the front tires on the car. That's been the hardest thing, because the other open wheel series I ran the IR05s with another league a couple years back, and aero wash wasn't a thing. Pack racing was still a mile and a half thing. So transitioning from that to this with the lower downforce, making sure you keep the car under control, it's a lot different can of worms. It's like learning a whole different kind of racing.
Yeah,
Well,
the pedigrees that you're racing here, especially here at the
yeah.
end, the pedigrees with Murphy and Forsythe, and just to be able to have the showing that you've had, and of course the Gary talking about the podium finishes that you've had, it's clear that you're learning, and we had that discussion as well, that racers will be racers, and so you're adapting really well, man. It's good to see that you're having these good finishes.
I appreciate it, Sam. Really do.
Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors. Anyone say hi to before we let you go for the podium finish here today at the Magic Mile?
Well, it's like, well, I'm going to be a little obnoxious and say, hi, Brett. How you doing? And the guys, Black Magic, Ganji with Sim Motion and sponsoring the league, Mike running the show that he does, and having the group of guys that we do. And I'm just happy to be a small part of that. And you guys on P1 broadcasting all the IndyCar stuff and some of the other stuff I was watching over the weekend. And it's just, I like being a small piece of the puzzle, and I'd like to try to keep it that way.
Well, congratulations on the good finish here. We got one more short track this season to go to at Iowa, but before we get there, the big track at Michigan is next, a track we know that you will probably run well at, so we'll see you in a week in the Irish Hills.
Great finish, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
You too.
All right. So very happy, Justin. And I will say that, and I said it before a number of times on many different streams, that as the old saying goes, cautions breed cautions, right? Podiums breed podiums. And eventually, if you start breeding more podiums, they turn into wins. And that's, getting onto that top step eventually will happen. We'll bring Craig Forsythe into the room here. And here he is. Craig, fresh back from vacation. And I don't know if you had any other warm-up races before this, or this is your first race back, but another Craig Forsythe-like performance in the IR18 here at the Magic Mile. P2 today, after seemingly never missing a heartbeat or a skip at all from being away a week, back on the podium, kind of where you belong.
Yeah, no, I mean, it worked out. When that final caution happened, I told the guys, it's like, this is makeable. It's going to be hard, but it's makeable. And so we committed to it. But I mean, this is one of those tracks where, I mean, when you pit dictates everything, because you could be leading the race and you can end up 2 laps down by having the caution come out at the wrong time. I am the luckiest racing driver on the face of the planet when that caution came out while I was in pit lane from the lead. I fully recognize, like, that could not pause, like, that is the latest it can possibly happen to a leader. It's like, oh, I guess I'm saved. All right. Okay. So no, that worked out well. And then Rick roasted me right off the line. That was I was like, all right, I'm going to hold Rick off for a few laps. I mean, he's faster than me, but I'm going to hold him off. And no, he just turn 1 goes in, gets the run on me, and it has the pass completed by turn 3. I'm like, oh, all right then.
That's
not following Rick.
That's Rick's MO right there. I'm not surprised at all. Any questions?
Come on, give me a few laps.
Any questions for him, Sam?
I was just curious, as the race progressed and you're getting later and later into these things, moving from the back of the field forward again. When you get late into the race, Craig, it's always, for me, the colors of your cars have always been intriguing to me, and always been a nice sight for me to be able to race, because I know who I'm racing. But as you get into those closing laps and you see these cars begin to close in, what is your particular strategy as far as dealing with the wash of the car in front of you? I'm just a little curious about how you were handling it, because Justin did say there at the end he's a little sorry about the fuel situation that he had, but you were clearly closing in on him. So what were you finding that was working for you there at the end?
Well, I had been saving fuel like hard throughout the whole stint, just riding behind guys. So I figured when Justin went by me and he started making, like, I think he went 1.5 seconds ahead of me at one point. I was like, I don't think he's saving. I actually thought he had given up the fuel save. And then once he caught up to Mark and he like dialed it back off, I'm like, oh no, okay, he's back to fuel saving. But then I figured that meant that I was going to be in the better position to fuel save. So I'm always trying to make it so that if there's a late caution, I have enough fuel to like actually turn it up. The worst thing to happen during a fuel save is to have a caution with 10 to go, and you've been fuel saving to the exact number the whole time, because that means when it goes green again, you're still stuck fuel saving to that fuel save number, which means you're going to get swamped. Yeah, you're going to get swamped by all the guys who just pitted and got fuel.
What was your number at the end?
Oh, I ran out of the line at that point. I basically I wanted to make sure I had 10 liters left with 10 laps to go.
Wow.
Because that meant I was going to be able to turn it up to map 2 and that's when I started closing down on these guys, because they were still having to, more aggressively fuel save, so they weren't able to go as fast. Wasn't able to. I mean, once Mark had Rick in front. I mean, I knew he was fuel saving behind Devin, then he was fuel saving behind Rick. So I didn't think I had a chance or had a shot at Mark at that point, but I was pretty confident I was going to get a shot at Justin.
Yeah, the gap
I'm just lucky.
Incredibly fast.
I had made the decision that I was going to go underneath him, and right when we caught in line with each other is when he sputtered, and I had to make the immediate decision to cut to the outside. On my screen, we didn't touch at all, so like it showed up as a 4X. Didn't seem to affect either of us. If anything, I boosted him, helped boost him across the line.
Well, remember, Sam, and remember I called a couple of these drivers cerebral. My case in point. Once again, Craig Forsyth always comes out making me look like a genius for no reason. For no reason whatsoever than other than being a really good guy. Craig Forsyth making Gary look smart. Craig, you got any shout outs or anything you want to say hi to for another podium finish? And we got the points here. I think the points have been updated. I think, hold on, let me bring up the points on the screen real quick. See, going into today's race, Clindy had 769. Okay, so the points. Okay, yeah, they have been updated. So you are 11th. Unfortunately, that missed race kind of hurts you and Murph a little bit. Although Murph recovers a little bit because of the win. But you're down now in 11th, 19 points behind your teammate Reagan for 10th. But plenty of time still left to go here to play. So any shout-outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to for this another podium finish this season?
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep these guys honest, right?
We
may not win this thing outright because of the races we missed, but we've at least got to make sure everyone tries really hard. No, I got to thank Jim at 40 Racewear. I mean, we were on pace for some good results tonight. I mean, Chris still, came back in 5th, and Richie was in 9th. I mean, Richie, but until he hit the wall there, he was, I think he qualified 3rd. I mean, he had a top guy pace tonight.
Yeah,
and just some bad combination of damage took him off pace, and then Jim got into the wrecks there along with Devin. So unfortunate for those guys, but no, the whole 40 Racewear crew. It's good to be with the guys and talk it up during the race and make sure that we're all paying attention to what's going on, so that whether it's a fuel save or it's a put your foot down, we know what's going on.
Well, next up is Michigan, a track that I have personally seen you win at least once. Almost got the win over in the ERL last season there at the 2 Mile Oval in Brooklyn. So we will see you at a track that we know you're going to do well at next week. But in the meantime, congrats and go celebrate on the P2. Your stat line for the season now is 6 top 5s and 8 top 10s. Not too bad.
I will take that.
Greg Forsyth coming home second for the Canadian.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe.
Great run.
All right. Looking in chat real quick. Taylor says, imagine if Indy raced in New Hampshire for real. I would love for them to come back here and race here for real. I think there's some politics at hand that won't allow them to come back. But I would love to see them, especially seeing how well the IR18 ran in that doubleheader at Milwaukee. I'm not saying that Milwaukee and New Hampshire are identical. In fact, they're very different racetracks, even though they're mile paperclip-shaped ovals. I think the turns at Milwaukee are a little bit longer than the turns here at New Hampshire. I think the turns at New Hampshire are a little bit shorter and sharper. But I would love to see the Indy cars come back here. If they race so well at Milwaukee, they should do the same thing again. But in terms of tracks like this in this world, I believe in terms of the 1 mile oval category, it's this and Milwaukee that are out there. I don't think there are any 1 mile paperclip ovals that are still in existence out there.
Gateway?
Gateway's 1.25 miles. And the last mile oval that I remember that was similar to this configuration was the old Chicago Motor Speedway in downtown Chicago, not Joliet and not the road course, but the old the one that was built at the horse track that Chip Ganassi used to own.
I feel
That
like
one,
Milwaukee's turns are way more sweeping than they are here.
yeah. The Milwaukee turns are a lot more longer than the turns here. Yeah, you're right. But I'd love to see Indy cars come back. Let's bring up Murph, and we could talk more about points when he gets up here. Here he is. Murph, as we said, hot off the boat from down in the Bahamas, and the heat remained with you right to victory lane here, getting the third dub of the season for you and reviving the points championship. Even though you missed that race, you vaulted at least up into the points a little bit. We'll talk about that here in a second. But talk about your race. That last caution came out at a very good time where you guys all came down pit road, topped off, and should have been good to go to the end. How much did you have to save there in order to make that last run work for you?
I was saving. Well, good to be up here, Gary, and thanks for having us. Now, I was saving fuel off everything that moved, and something
we thought so. We were actually wondering that.
We were trying to do the math in our own heads. It wasn't working.
Go fast, but save fuel. I need to go. I had whoever Scott Dixon's engineer was in my head, right? You must go faster. They're catching, Kirby's catching you. Must go faster. Forsyth's catching you. Holy,
must go faster, but you must save fuel.
I need you to save me another. I need you to save me another half a gallon because you're, a third of a, you're a third of a lap short. And I'm going, but in the end we made it. We had 22 hundredths of a gallon in the tank when we crossed the line. I even went map on the last lap. So, it's like Craig said, you want to keep a little bit in reserve just in case you have to race for it. And, I got real lucky with Devin there. It was kind of hard to figure out what his agenda was for a while, but that's okay. I saved a lot of fuel off of him. And then as soon as he came to pit road, Rick came off of pit road, and we were going to be about even Steven. And if you go back and look at if you go load my telemetry file into Motec, you'll see a big lift when he pulled up there.
Yeah.
So I needed both of them, and then it still wasn't definite. But it was enough in the tank and come home a winner. And man, fuel races are exhausting. I'll tell you that much.
Go ahead, Sam. I know. I mean, we were wondering when we saw you passed Devin, and then Devin went back on by. We're like, wondering if he's using him to save some fuel, and that kind of confirmed our thought. But go ahead, Sam. Any questions there for the winner?
Congratulations, Mark. Great drive tonight. Certainly put on another clinic. I was just a little curious because there was a portion there in the closing laps that I was just kind of wondering how much mirror driving were you doing in order to try and kind of, not knowing what Justin's fuel situation is, how much mirror driving may you have been doing in order just to give him a little bit more wash so that he could not make a run there at the end?
None. I mean, dirty air wasn't a big thing here, at least as far as I experienced. The track had a ton of mechanical grip, so it wasn't the aero thing wasn't a huge deal, or at least it wasn't as big as it usually is. But I learned a long time ago. My daddy taught me, you look behind you, you go slower. So I wasn't paying any.
That's good to hear.
I wasn't paying any attention to Justin. I had one eye on the fuel gauge and one eye out in front of me, trying to stay in the draft of whoever happened to be in front of me. It didn't really matter, right?
And one eye on the relative because you did see him closing.
I didn't really look at that. I knew Craig was doing the same thing. I looked down with 5 to go and kind of noted he's back there, but there's, at that point, we'd all pitted at the same time and we're all in the same boat. And so, even if he'd got to me, he'd come up through the field. So it's not like if he got to me, he was going to have any more fuel than I did.
Oh no! Of the 3 that finished the race, all the podium drivers, you were the only one that had fuel left because Kirby and Forsythe both ran out as they were coming to the line.
Yeah, no, I was good. Like I said, I was able to turn it up on the last lap and go full rate.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
There was never any doubt about making it. It was, it was just about managing it so that, okay, if they got to me, you had enough to go full tilt for, the difference was, 0.05 of a gallon for a lap. So, as it turned out, I'd saved enough to go full tilt for 5 laps, and that
Excellent.
was, it's like Craig said too. You want to save enough. You want to save enough to give yourself cushion. If you have to race, you can race. If caution comes out, you can race that much longer, and you don't have to pit. But no, I wasn't looking behind me at all. I had one eye, like I said, I had one eye on the fuel number and one eye up front, and just trying to stay behind, whether it was Devin or Rick or whoever was up there, just draft anything that moves.
Right.
So
I told Gary, I said, if that's what vitamin D does for you, a little bit of suntan, then I'm gonna have to take a vacation before all my races. So
oh, man. Well, we have a tradition. We have a tradition of this. I think last time I come back from a cruise, I think I won too, didn't I, Gary?
Which race was it? I guess I'll have to go back.
It was Motegi. It's an old race on another channel, but if I remember right, I went on a podium at Motegi, and then went out and come back and won 2 weeks later. Might have been one of the championship years. I don't know, but it was a good time.
We have to go dig up the stat book
the archives.
for that.
Dig into the archives.
Well, it was the same. It was even the same boat. That's the funny bit about it.
Before we get too far into shout outs, everybody listening, both these voices right here, you will hear them on most Thursdays and Friday nights for the remainder of this calendar year, as we will be covering the American Motorsports Association, the AMA, their Black Magic Grand National Series on Thursdays at 8:20, and then on Fridays their Archway Industrial Truck Series at 8:20 on Fridays. These two will be calling the action for all of those races, or certainly most of them. That would be for sure. So get used to hearing both these guys going at it in the booth, because they will be your A-team NASCAR duo that we have here on the channel, calling the AMA action here coming up starting this week. So mark it on your calendars. Definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, and then also hit the bell for the reminders when those guys go live on Thursdays and Fridays. You will get notified. But that's the big promo. Mark, any shout outs, friends, family, sponsors you want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, you want to take him standings down so I can read the side of my car. I'm old, remember, I can't. I don't have my memory.
See, Black
built.
Magic, P1 Broadcasting, IAR. Let's see, who else?
Is that Black Magic with Justin and Brent Kirby?
No, it's Black Magic Studios. Different. It's
thank you for clarifying that.
It's
because Justin had mentioned Black Magic Motorsports when he was giving his shout outs.
Yeah, it's different. So it's Andy Dunwoody and his crew. Them guys have been.
You'll get to meet them. You'll get to meet them, Sam.
Guys, them guys have been longtime supporters of mine back to the Indy Fix days.
Oh, that's excellent.
They've been with me for a long time. So shout out to Andy and Colby and Brian and all the gang at Black Magic Studios. Definitely appreciate them. Gary, your support at P1 Broadcasting is absolutely awesome. Love to have you on the side of my car too. Seb, Chris, Connie, Matt, Rashad, Thomas, Will, Oliver. Man, we're still getting it, guys. We're still here. It's great to plant that Indy Alliance logo back in Victory Lane. That's where it belongs. And want to shout out to an old schoolmate of mine. So if you look at before I do that, I'll call out Fish at Admin Box. If you're a race controller, go see him and get a custom button box that'll let you do all the race control stuff from the touch of a button. Admin Box, they're awesome. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention it. If you look at the airfoil on the spine of the engine cover, you'll see a number 33, and that's one of my classmates in high school. Her brother was a tremendous basketball player, and I played ball with him and played with his little brother. And Clint recently passed away in a car accident, and his number was retired in the gym that we played in. So I've decided to carry that number 33 with me for a while, and it's good to see that back in Victory Circle where it belongs. And so I know his sister Katie watches some of these, and we're still thinking about you, and that 33 is right back where it belongs at the top of the leaderboard. So very proud to carry that for Katie and her family for sure.
All right, Murph. Well, congratulations. Stat line for the season, 3rd win. You're tied with Clinty now for wins. 8 top 5s and 8 top 10s, which tells me whenever you finished in the top, whenever you race, you're at least going to be in the top 5. So congrats. We'll go over the points here in a little bit, but you're back in contention. We'll catch you next week at Michigan, a track that also I know that you can win at, and we'll see you in a week.
Yeah, we've won some big ones there.
Yeah,
so
we have. Yeah.
I'm not going to turn in the opportunity to go to Michigan. It's God, I love that place, and we've won some big races at Michigan. So I'm not gonna turn down the opportunity.
That's
to go
right. Ask
sure.
Michele Constantini, passing him on the last lap in a 5.4K strength of field race. So yeah, go back and watch that on the old channel. Anyone wants to do some scouting on Murph on what to do on the last lap, check that one out. But Murph, congrats, man, on the win. We'll catch you a little bit later.
Excellent win,
and we'll catch you later in the week when AMA starts on Thursday night. Thanks, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
All right, and if I didn't cut him off, he would continue talking. He likes his victory interviews. He likes his victory interviews. All right, so points-wise, before we get on out of here, Clinty, despite everything, is still your points leader.
Wow.
He has a 1-point points lead over Goodman, who is now second. Rigney, despite his awful race, is in 3rd place.
Wow.
Wagner,
this is amazing.
Wagner, despite his race and his comeback effort, is in 4th. Justin Kirby 5th. Richie Hearn 6th. Lewis Hayes 7th. Murphy in 8th. Gallus 9th. Chris Reagan 10th. And then right behind Reagan is Craig Forsyth in 11th. But the spread between the top 3 is only 9 points. It's 854 to 853 to 845. That's 1, 2, 3. So this championship is going to continue well into the next couple of rounds until the top 4 or 5 could start separating each other. But until then, we might actually see a championship race at Indianapolis, much like along the lines we saw with the ERL when I called their finishing race of their 2024 B season, where we had 7 drivers mathematically possible for the championship going into that final race. So it is entirely possible, especially with how close everything is here. But final words from you.
Of tracks and those last 5
Oh my
tracks,
gosh, yeah.
Honestly,
a little bit of everything.
Iowa can come into play, which can be a very versatile track as far as tire wear. Fuel saving is often come into play at Iowa as well. I've seen those races play out. Michigan can be a wild card because of the pack racing that can materialize, especially after starts and restarts. There's just so many different variables that are involved in these last 5 races. Charlotte can be
Charlotte's a tough
wild card race. It can be a wild card race.
That is a tough track to pass at. Very tough.
I lost a dear friend at Charlotte years ago. Last IndyCar race that was there, my friend was one of those that was killed in the stands.
No, where? Oh,
At that,
I'm sorry to hear that. I did
yeah.
not. I was at the 97 and 98 race, and for whatever reason, we chose not to go to that 98 race or the 99 race. And yeah, I'm kind of glad we did it in hindsight. But yeah, that was very sorry to hear that, first of all. But that particular race and that particular instance went a long way in future IndyCar safety configurations and safety technology that have been added to these cars to prevent that from ever happening again. So
the tethers and things. Yeah.
Even though it didn't work in the Indy 500 a couple years ago when it sheared off of Kirkwood's car, but no harm, no foul there. But very sorry about your friend. But yeah, that was very important to future technology in terms of how these cars are a lot more safer now, not just for the drivers, but for the people that travel to these races that partake in that. But that's very interesting. I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that. But yeah, I was almost at that race. I decided not to go, though.
Wow. Well, it just stood out to me, just the diversity of the last 5 races that are going to be involved, especially with the talent that's here. You know, these tracks are really going to push the limit of these drivers to make sure that they're on the top of their game to finish this out. I agree with you. By the time we get to Indianapolis, depending on how the next 4 races play out, you could very well see a top 5 race for the championship.
Yeah, not just I know kind of in the current playoff status that you see in kind of Cup racing, you expect the final 4 going in that last race. We might see more than that here with the ISRA Open Wheel Series, and that's always pretty exciting. Well, thank you for your time today. A little bit of, as I mentioned when I recruited him for tonight's race, a little preseason exhibition.
I'm sorry for the technical difficulty. I'm sorry.
But that's
sorry.
Hey, you got it all hammered out. At least you're not going to have it when it's you and Mark, when it's for real on Thursday night. But a little preseason exhibition training here for Sam Crow. And of course,
I'm glad your expectations were not very high. Big shout out to Lewis as well. I hope that he feels better. I told him before the broadcast he had sent out a message and said that he was thanking me for doing this. But the truth of the matter is I thank you guys for the opportunity and the privilege to be able to do it. I have great respect for you, Gary, for what you do. You're amazing at what you do. And just Lewis, he has such great content when he's doing this, and he's so involved, and he knows the Indy League so well, and I hope that he feels better soon. And I am certainly looking forward to working with Mark in the future, and that we can build on our camaraderie and our ability to bring the action of AMA to YouTube and to the iRacing world.
Well, welcome to the team. It's good to have you on the starting rotation now. So we'll turn the microphone back over to you after this one for Thursday and Friday nights. But thanks a lot for helping us call the IndyCar race. Let's go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Once again, your podium from New Hampshire. Mark Murphy with win number 3 this season. Craig Forsyth, yet another podium, coming home second. And Justin Kirby, just keeps adding those podiums, comes home third. Eventually, he's going to get one of those big dubs, and we'll be here to see it. Join P1 again next week for round 10 of the inaugural season of the Sim Motion ISRA Open Wheel Series as the teams and drivers head to the second Triple Crown Jewel. So this will be our second Triple Crown Jewel at Michigan International Speedway for 250 miles of wheel-to-wheel high-banked action. Can Mark Murphy win the second Jewel in the P1 Triple Crown? Remember, he won at Fontana. So he's on a bit of a run now. We'll tune in and find out. Coverage begins around 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, that's 9:30 p.m. Eastern, as always. For the correct broadcast time in your area, you can find everything right here at YouTube at youtube.com/@P1 Broadcasting. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game's not easy, so please help support P1 with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know you thought of tonight's race, and if you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing like the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more P1's other iRacing programming, including, well, we got coming up tomorrow night, more IndyCar action from the IndyCar Oval Series, 7:15 p.m. Eastern time, and then our doubleheader Wednesday. And then the AMA kicks off this Thursday, 8:20 p.m. for their Black Magic Studios Grand National Series. It's going to be Sam Crow and Murph in the booth for that one. Check them out, 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. The ISRA is proudly sponsored by SimMotion. With over 50 combined years of experience in the community and industry, SimMotion is your one-stop strategy for everything you need for sim racing. Whether you still have your rookie stripes or you're a grizzled veteran looking for the next upgrade, check out their line of sim racing hardware, including top brands like Asetek, Buttkicker, Moza, Sim Magic, and more. Visit their online store today or follow one of their socials. All the links you need are in the description. Track cams for this race are provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. Get the most out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash Sim Cams. To learn more about Whiplash, you want to like them on Facebook, you want to follow them on X, and you also want to check them out on Instagram. All the links you need are in the description. So for an ailing LGN, everyone here at P1 Sim Motion, the ISRA, and Sam Crow, I'm Gary Gotcho saying all good night. Thanks for watching. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed. God bless.
Thank you for your service.
God bless and come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Michigan for the next race of the Sim Motion ISRA Open Wheel Series. Good night.
Yeah.